Hello there. I'm here again to uh, keep practicing my English in my daily journal series. I hope you guys are doing great, and I'm here to keep going with our conversation in the last video. I think I was talking about language and how some how it's my relationship with some languages, and I think I said that I want to have 10 languages um, in some level or other in proficiency. And if I haven't said that, then I'm saying now I have the desire to learn 10 languages in my life. Um, that's pretty much all that I want to accomplish in the language learn aspect of things. I do not want to learn 20 or 30 languages. 10 is already enough for a whole life, in my opinion. I also um, don't have necessarily the interest after I just specify necessarily the interest of um, learn very niche languages. And by the way, before I keep talking, if you guys are hearing this noise, I apologize because my wash machine, I think that's how it's called, and it's working here, and maybe you guys hearing the noise. But anyway, I want to not master, sorry, but I want to have some level of proficiency in 10 languages. And those languages are Portuguese, English, French, and Latin, Russian, Ancient Greek. Um, then it comes Spanish, German, Italian, and Japanese. Those are the 10 languages that I want to learn in the current moment. They are in level of the proficiency that I'm willing to achieve. So Portuguese is my native language. I'm already a native on it. It's very hard to me to have any other language above Portuguese, and I want to have Portuguese as a proficient language in my life. I want to be able to write properly in Portuguese, to have a huge vocabulary, not necessarily huge, but a reasonably large vocabulary at Portuguese. There is English that I think it's kinda obviously that I'm willing to learn because I'm practicing it right now with you guys, and it's very important to me because English is like if you are learning a foreign language and you do not speak English, I think English is the most obvious choice that there is because it's the most spoken language in the world in certain sense. I think that maybe Chinese or Hindi has more speakers, but English surely does have more influence in the world that we live on. English is this very desired language of mine. I want to be able to write in mathematics in English. I think English is a very useful language to express our thoughts in an analytical way. What I mean by that is like I can very easily on English talk about many things, and let's say that I want to tell you a story that has happened with me. English is very good for that, I believe, because English has so many specific words for common things that other languages do not have that many. And that is not necessarily um, true for all types of English and all types of languages. But what I'm saying is that I think English is a very um, good language to think logically and um, to express in prose what you think about the certain things. It's a optimal language to argumentation, and you can use it very well in those contexts. Then comes French right after. French is a language that I enjoy a lot. I'm studying it now, um, and also studying English. So the two languages that I'm studying currently are English and French. English, I'm trying to do like almost a minimum effort possible to learn because I haven't got the time to study English for many hours. So what I'm trying to do is I'm listening to difficult content so I can get used to new words and new expressions and train my listen to more specific and difficult things. Secondly, I'm reading, trying to read at least 15 pages per day in English. That's my goal, hopefully. I'm reading now the A Study in Scarlet of Sir Arthur Conan Doyle, and I'm enjoying it so much. I really enjoy Sherlock Holmes series, and be able to read it in the original in English is very it gives me a feeling of accomplishment very great indeed. So um, there is this aspect of English, and I'm studying. Oh, I was talking about what I'm doing with English, right? I also try to write in every day. I wrote 4 pages today of free writing just to keep in practice, keep my writing in shape. I want to learn it more. I want to be able to use it more specifically and more proficiently. But I am using it at least in a small amount per day so I can keep going with it. There is my speaking practice. That's basically this one. I come here and I talk about some topic at least 4 or 5 minutes. That's the bare minimum that I established to myself, try to accomplish. And also there is vocabulary and other stuff, but these are the four minimal things that I need to do in order to accomplish my daily goal of English. For my French, for example, I'm just doing 30 minutes of comprehensible input throughout Dreaming French, and also YouTube in many with many channels. I can say some here. There is this channel Jerome French teacher, inner French French comprehensible input, uh, and some other piece of French. Yes, I've watched a lot of content of piece of French, and some other channels that I'm watching or listening to it in order to improve in French. I haven't got the time, as I said, that I would want to spend with language learning. So what I'm doing is that I just am using 30 minutes per day to exposure myself to French in order to be able to, start to know some words. And when I start to study it properly, I already have a very reasonable amount of words that I know and knowledge and skills in the language. That's are the two languages that I'm studying it, and Portuguese as well. I'm not studying actively; it's my native language, but I want to start to study it eventually to be able to study my grammar, maybe learn, maybe um, read more difficult books. But I'm always reading in Portuguese. Um, Currently, I'm reading either in Portuguese or English, although I have some books in other languages as well. But then that's what I'm what I'm doing for now um, in my language learning process. Right after there's come Latin to join the party. I enjoy Latin so much. I was watching some content in Latin um, in that channel. I don't know if I will be able to remember the name, but there is this channel on YouTube that it is polymath, and he has also I forgot his name, but he has also, yeah, I think he's Lucas. Lucas is his name. He has got also this channel in which he talks in Latin only. Very amusing. I think Latin is probably one of my favorite languages, as well with French and English and Portuguese, obviously, currently, and I want to learn it in a very high level of proficiency. I would want, sincerely, I would want to have Portuguese as my first language. I would not change that if I could. I love Portuguese and I want to be able to express myself in it. But secondly, I would put Latin as my most proficient language. Third, English, and fourth uh, would come French. But realistically, I think it's far more easy to um, accomplish accomplish a very high level of proficiency in English, for example, or in French, than it is to accomplish it on Latin. But I still want to learn Latin in a very reasonable level, a very proficient level, if I shall say. And those four are the main languages that I want to know. The other six are less important for me in this sense, but this for within my heart, I already have a very reasonable knowledge in it. Portuguese will never, I will probably never be forgetting it or be not able to talk in it because it's my native language, unless I have some kind of disease or um, some incident occurs, so I can't use Portuguese anymore. But apart of that, it seems very unlikely that I will forget it. English, I want to have a very reasonable level, very proficient level. I want to be C2, but I'm not pushing to C2 right now. I'm just enjoying the language and growing it slowly because it seems to me that is more optimal if I do that for now, and later maybe I can push myself a little harder and get in a more proficient level. But I want to have the skill to talk and to write, to listen, to speaking very well in English. French, I'm learning it now, and I'm starting to learn it, but I want to be able to talk and talk, writing, speaking, and listen to it. Talk. I said talking and speaking, right? Talk and reading, writing, and listen very proficiently as well. C2, I would say that I want to reach C2 level. If not C2, at least a near C2 level. Um, C1 to C2 level, but English I want to have it as C2. I do not want necessarily to have a perfect accent in French as I do in English. I think it's more important to me to have a good accent in English because I think it's a personal goal that I want to accomplish, and then comes Latin that I want to have it as my most natural language in the philosophical sense. When I think on philosophy, I want to be able to think on Latin and to talk on Latin and to have drinks in Latin. And Latin is this language that I want to accomplish in a very high level of proficiency. But then it comes the other six languages, and they are very important for me as well. Uh, I put Russian in fifth because Russian is a language that I have always wanted to learn, and I do not want to have Russian as proficient as my English, for example. Obviously, if I have the opportunity and time, I would want Russian to be as proficient as my Portuguese. Let's say it, but you need to invest time in the language in order to have the proficiency that you're willing for. And I'm not willing to put this effort to learn Russian a very high level of proficiency. I'm willing to put an effort to know it very reasonably well so I can watch content in Russian, I can read in Russian, I can communicate in certain sense in Russian, uh, and writing as well. I just want to write a bit in Russian. Not that much is not a goal of mine. Maybe ancient Greek will become more important for me when the time passes, but Russian now is a language that I want to learn a lot. Um, there is ancient Greek as well, and I want to learn ancient Greek mainly to literary purposes. But ancient Greek is this language very that I find very amusing. I want to have the classical pronunciation. I have no interest at all in modern Greek. I do not want to communicate with the Greek people. Sorry, but that's my willing, and I just want to be able to talk in ancient Greek and to have this reasonable level of proficiency. Um, there is also other language, as I said. There is the Spanish, the Italian, and German, Japanese. Yeah, I've talked about all of them. Spanish is a language that I haven't always wanted to learn, but it's so close to Portuguese and it has some benefits in learning it that I've thinking on learn it because it's very easy for me. I can understand almost 90% what I listen already, even if I do not study it at all. So it's very easy to me as a Portuguese native speaker, and probably in the future as a French speaker, to learn, and English as well. English has some similarities with Spanish and Latin as well. So uh, I will be able to learn Spanish very easily. I'm willing to learn Spanish through the ALG method, first because I want to test the method itself. I'm doing almost an ALG method with my French, but I'm not doing it exactly because I've studied it already. I want my Spanish to be a full ALG method type of thing to see how far can I get. And I have no desire necessarily to talk in Spanish or to, let's say, writing. I have no desire to writing at all. Maybe I want to talk a bit, obviously. If you have the proficiency in a language, you would want to talk a bit. Some people don't, some people normally don't want to it, but I do want to talk if I have the proficiency, but that's not my goal. With language, it's not my main goal. I can start to use it, the language, and later um, get more used to some kind of uh, speaking. But I want to consume in the language, and Spanish will do that for me for sure. And the same applies for Italian in some sense. I have no desire to learn Italian properly. I do not want to be master of Italian or anything. I just want to learn it because it's very similar and I can have some benefits of it. In certain sense, the same applies to German. German is a language I'm interested with, uh, mainly because of the immigration of Germans to Brazil in the 9th and 20th century, that we have a very rich story about communicate. And German seems a very nice language to learn, so why not? And Japanese is a language that I want to have a reasonable level in, because Japanese has a lot of culture to offer. You have mangas, animes, and other things as well that I can have access in the original language if I do know Japanese. And moreover, Japanese has a great literature, in my opinion, and it's a very fun language to learn. Russian, ancient Greek, and Japanese are probably the language more different from Portuguese that are in my list. Um, I want to learn ancient Greek for many reasons, as I said. Russian is one of the language that I want to learn because it's very different from Portuguese. So I think I will have better way to understand language and to see the world in a different perspective if I want to if I learn this very different language as Russian is. The same applies to uh, Japanese, because Japanese is the most different language in this list from Portuguese. Honestly, uses three completely different writing systems, and that's very interesting for me. I find it very interesting. There is the language that use the Latin alphabet, and those three, ancient Greek, Russian, and Japanese, that don't use it. And I will be very interested to learn them in the future when I have the opportunity to do it. Um, I will leave it here. I think I've spoken about the language that I want to learn, that I'm willing to learn, quite um, extensively, and I hope you guys have enjoyed it. And this video will become here a checkpoint to me. Maybe I will change some of the language. Let's say maybe I would give up to learn Italian and learn another language instead, or Japanese will be more of a priority to me than Italian. Or even I can change it, the order, into Russian and ancient Greek, or maybe I will not try to learn Spanish through the ALG method. Maybe I will be interested more in Spanish and start to study it more seriously. But that I can't tell you with certainty. What can I tell you is that I will try to learn it, those languages, if I don't change my mind. And I think it will be a very fun activity and a very fun part of my experience. So that's it for today's video. See you guys later. Bye.